Oh my goodness, what were we thinking? You know, people ask me to tell the story. I got an email the other day from one of our partners that says, I always love to hear the story. It was a story in the making.
Well, I mean, Paul decided, and he and Glenda had this vision of starting a home. And they had met a gentleman in Vidalia who had been a young man at Father Flanagan's in Boys Town in Omaha, Nebraska. And Paul decided that the way he was going to raise awareness for starting a home was to ride a bike.
He did it for spreading awareness, and that's what we're going to do it for. And I think it's cool following his path and everything. And he struggled a lot through that because he's a big guy, so we're going to struggle through it. And basically, we're living out his legend.
We just were two young people that had a dream. Why can't we do this? We were too young to think we couldn't do it.
In 2011, the Paul Anderson Youth Home bike ride is going to be a 1,500-mile ride all the way to Omaha, Nebraska. Just like the first one that Paul did back in the day, 50 years ago, approximately 50 years ago.
In 1961, Paul Anderson decided to get on a bike and bike 1,500 miles to Omaha, Nebraska. And in my opinion, that's just something that is amazing for many reasons. And one is that 50 years later, today, that we have a group of boys who get the chance to go on the same 1,500-mile bike ride that he once did. And the cool thing about that is 50 years later, like I said, we're still reaching out to people and other parents and children, and we're trying to make it a worldwide thing and instead of just staying inside the community. And pretty much he's just left behind just a huge legacy.
A number of years ago, when we were really thinking of how do we raise awareness of what we do here in Vidalia, Georgia. I mean, we would say we work with young men from all over the country, but how do we raise awareness? Because certainly we know families are struggling, families are hurting. And so, I was in a conversation as an avid cyclist myself. I was in a conversation with my friend Mac Jordan. And Mac and I were discussing, ways to raise awareness, and he started talking to me about raising money while he was biking. He was going to be biking anyway. He might as well raise money for the youth home while he did it.
Several years ago, when Mac Jordan talked to Drew about this possibly being a fundraiser and something to do across Georgia, at least I had no idea at that time that we would ever take on such a grand and glorious trip as this one appears that it will be. Drew has done a wonderful job in taking this as a project to more than anything raise awareness, I suppose, originally. But now I think it's a great opportunity for our young men to grow.
When I heard Drew Reed talk, he was talking about how this is supposed to be like a parent movement, like the just say no thing. And then when he did his speech, it kind of put things in perspective for me, because I thought it was just, just a ride and we're just doing what Paul did. But really, it's like, has nothing to do with us. It has to do with spreading the word and reaching out to other people and to make this a big movement that could affect tons of people.
We think every healthy, functioning nonprofit should ask this question: how do you help solve the problem? I mean, that's the role, right? That's the goal. The goal is to fundamentally begin to solve this problem, to put a dent in it, where it isn't 90,000 juveniles being arrested every day. So part of our hope with what we're doing, with launching this next 50 years of the Youth Home, of Paul Anderson Ministries and the Youth Home, is what makes this all possible. It's the tip of the arrow. But because we work every day with youth, we have the ability to communicate to families and parents about what's going on. We can't build 50 youth homes. People ask us, well, why don't you have more youth homes? Why don't you have more boys? Well, because this is the number we work with. This is where we find that we have success. And having 50 youth homes is not going to fundamentally alter the landscape. What we want to do is fundamentally alter the landscape. What we want to do is we want to help families so that they don't need a YDC, so that they don't need a youth home, so that they don't need the prison system.
We believe that our next 50 years will include ways that we can offer information to society to make parents understand, more fully understand how to really and truly parent their children. I think it's a lost art. I believe that somewhere in the 60s we forgot that we were supposed to be parents.
The vision of the youth home, the vision of our ministry is the same as it's always been, is we are going to invest our lives in these young men. But because we invest in these young men, it gives us a platform to speak with authority about what's going on with teenagers, what's going on with youth, how it's happening at earlier and earlier ages, and how you as a parent can take action. Because family is universal. Family is universal. Good or bad, we all have a family. It's a universal thing. But parents no longer take action. So we want to help families become strong again. We want to help make families take action in their lives. We want to help make parent a verb.
Family strong, make parent a verb.